You're listening to Awards Magnet, a Gold Derby podcast with hosts Debra Birnbaum, Joyce Ng, and me, Christopher Rosen. If you'd like to be part of the show, send us an email at slugfests@goldderby.com. We'll do weekly mailbag episodes and all the stuff you love on Awards Magnet. Now, stay tuned for the show. Welcome back to Awards Magnet. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Debra Birnbaum and Joyce Ng. What a busy weekend we had with the BAFTA Awards. We're going to talk all about that, and we're also going to do our SAG Awards predictions later. But let's start with the BAFTA Awards, which were great. What do you guys think, Debra, Joyce?
I loved it. I love the Brits. The Brits have to, weigh in, and they had their point of view for sure.
They did their own thing, but also I don't even know if they moved the needle that much, especially in Best Picture. I was like, that's still the same for me. I mean, obviously the biggest thing is Best Actress.
For sure.
So all of our favorite race, like Best Actress. Yeah.
Yeah, we could have seen Conclave coming. Of course they were going to love their British film. They love their Edward Berger. Congratulations. That's great. So, but I think the plot twist is definitely Best Actress.
And we talked last week about Mikey winning here, because this is the first time that the industry is weighing in on the acting races, and she pulled it off. And I mean, it's like Honora still came out well at the BAFTAs, because no one was expecting it to really win Best Picture or Best Director, and then won casting. So Sean Baker still won a BAFTA. And then Best Actress, the big one for it there. So I think it just shows how strong it is overall with the three biggest branches there, because on Saturday it also won WGA. And then, but it didn't win screenplay at BAFTA, which is another plot twist, which I love. But I mean, like, this is like, we talked about this last week. Like I said, Demi Moore could be like Angela Bassett, where she won the Globe and Critics' Choice, but then she lost the industry awards. And that was more split, because Carrie Condon won BAFTA and then Jamie Lee Curtis won SAG. But I mean, Mikey could just win SAG now too.
So, Chris, what were your takeaways from BAFTA?
Well, I'll be curious to see what happens at SAG, but I was like, for the substance, it felt like not a great day, because it lost to me and it lost screenplay, but not to Honora. So I was like, that just shows that it's not really as strong with the industry, which is something we maybe expected, where they admire it greatly, but are not like looking to have it win. And I think that plus SAG could be like where that Best Actress race goes, basically. I don't know, because I'm like, the other thing I keep thinking, and we'll talk about this too, I'd imagine, is that we're not going to have the Best Actress field at all until we get to the Oscars, because Fernanda Torres will be there as the third option. And I will curious to see what happens at SAG and then figure out what I'm going to do there. But it is great drama.
Totally.
Wow, rude to Cynthia Erivo and Carla.
I know.
Carla's still nominated.
Carla got two shout-outs.
Yes,
she got two shout-outs on BAFTA.
Still nominated. Still like the ghost in the room.
At least now they're saying her name. So
they're saying her name.
They're saying her
name has been mentioned.
I feel like they realize it's like her whole thing is separate from them. Like, obvious. I mean, Critics' Choice voting stopped before that whole thing blew up, but it's like their categories are still separate from her thing. It's like, it's still winning.
Right.
Like film not in English language, and Zoe's still sweeping. So, but the substance did not have a great day. And I told you guys last week, A Real Pain was the spoiler in screenplay.
Right.
And you kept saying the substance. But I think it, like, the only award that the substance won for screenplay was Critics' Choice, which is not industry.
Right.
Right. And then, so now we have a 3-way split with Honora winning WGA, where the substance was ineligible, but it beat A Real Pain there, and A Real Pain beat both of them at BAFTA, another industry award. But A Real Pain is not nominated for Best Picture. And I think everyone's been underestimating it because of that. Because, like, imagine if it made Best Picture instead of, like, I'm Still Here. Like, everyone would have it so much higher. Right. And be taking it so much more seriously. But, like, I mean, I really believe, like, given it went 2 for 2 at BAFTA, like, it probably just finished 11th.
It's really strong. There's really strong.
And Kieran is sweeping,
Yes.
So I think like it's still safe to err on the side of the Best Picture frontrunner in screenplay. So I think like most people would probably still have Honora winning the Oscar. And it's kind of like when Argo was in a 3-way split, because it won WGA and Lincoln won Critics' Choice, and Silver Linings Playbook won BAFTA, and then Screenplay went to Argo, which won Best Picture. So I think like it's still the safe play there, but it's just funny because original screenplay was seen like we all assumed it was like a short thing for Anora, right? It might like we all thought that could be the only Oscar it wins, and it's so up and down with it. So I don't know. Like I feel like it might be like you could argue it's like weakest above the line category now, especially with Mikey winning actress, and she could be ahead of Demi.
So let's talk about director, because we also had another, Brady came back and obviously won that at BAFTA. So there's industry support for him.
I thought that was interesting too, and I was wondering. I had exact wrong picks for my BAFTA awards. Obviously, I was like Edward Berger maybe could win director, which I think we talked about, but he didn't. It won Conclave, won Best Picture, obviously, or Best Film. So, great. I think that was really necessary for Brady, obviously, because he lost at the DGA Awards. That's a great sign that he's still in contention. I still would probably go with Sean based on like history. I think it was the last time the DGA or what was it? Is Rob Marshall actually the last time this happened with Roman Polanski for The Pianist? Is that the last time that like the DGA winner lost BAFTA and then lost at the Oscars? I believe that's the comp. So I'm still going to go with Sean Baker.
What do we know?
That's when it split, but obviously the last two where it was Golden Globe and BAFTA winner versus DGA winner was Richard Linklater,
right?
And Iñárritu.
And so like that could be
like, and then David Fincher versus Tom Hooper.
Right. So that could be this, right? And then Sean is like the Richard Linklater analog, I guess, right? In that scenario. But I'm still gonna probably go with Sean at the Oscars just because I just think with the whole group voting. That said, I guess you could argue that maybe Brady would have won DGA if maybe more people had seen The Brutalist. Do we still want to say that or like tease that out that they were late to it and it was long and not everyone watched it, and now the extra time while they're voting for Oscars, maybe everybody's seen it and likes it. It's definitely closer. I'm glad, I guess, enough like similarly like Substance losing screenplay to A Real Pain and Not a Nora was bad. I think Brady winning director and not having Sean or Edward win there is obviously really good for him. So I don't know. I'm still gonna go with Sean, but we'll see.
I'm just going with Sean.
Yeah.
It's like DGA. It's one of the strongest. It has one of the strongest correlations with the Oscars. It's only missed 8 times. Like you just really can't go wrong with it unless it is like a Rob Marshall situation with Roman Polanski, and that was when The Pianist surged late at the end, and I don't see that happening for The Brutalist. Like I expected Brady to win here. Just The Brutalist is so much more serious of a film, and it seemed like right up BAFTA's alley. And then I think the fact that it didn't even win Best Film there is bad for it, because it's like I feel like Conclave barely won Best Film there. Like it probably was really close between that and The Brutalist and probably Anora. Like Anora did well, right? So, right. And then The Brutalist is not doing hot with the guilds, so I don't think it's like a situation where it's underseen with DGA, because voting for DGA closed February 7th and the award show was the next day. So they had time to watch it. And,
I was being polite.
But it's just like it's hard to go against DJ there. And like earlier on, like we saw a split with Brady winning director and Anora winning Best Picture, or at least it was the default Best Picture frontrunner. But now with Anora just killing the guilds, like why wouldn't Sean just win? Like he's stronger in director than he is in screenplay, actually.
I think that's true too. I do. I think like it just seems like it could just be like Anora wins like picture, director, actress, and that's it, right? Like I think Conclave will probably win editing, and I think there's a nice path if you want to suggest that Conclave could win Best Picture, or is obviously maybe the alternate to Nora Best Picture, because it's going to go adapted screenplay and editing, and then it could win picture, kind of like Argo style, I guess. But I don't know. I just think like Anora will probably be fine, and Brady's still in it though. That was really big for him, but I think I'll stick with Sean too.
So if we had to sum up BAFTA, the big winner, who would you say the big winner out of BAFTA is? Mikey?
Yeah, Mikey, and I think everyone else
Like
just
a
did
pulling
fine.
teeth.
Like, no, Mikey, like, yeah, I don't even know if she like reasserted herself. Like, she might. I think it's kind of like Honora revealing itself to be strong with the guilds. I feel like she just revealed herself to be strong with the industry
Yes.
because this is the first industry award. And then yeah, like the other ones, like Conclave, like it couldn't even pull Ray Fiennes, winning best actor. Adrian is just winning even when his film is not doing that well either. Like, Brutalist won 4 total, but like at Critics' Choice, it was just Adrian.
Right.
And then the Brutalist, it couldn't win best picture even with director and actor. So I think these other films are fine, and Honora did what it needed to do. It still won 2 big awards. So.
Yeah, I think Honora and it was the BAFTAs to me were definitely like confirmation of what we like had discussed as possible with Mikey, that there is industry support there because of the way the industry has responded to Honora, and strong for Honora, just a continuation of like that. And then I thought it was like a good day for Conclave, obviously winning best film. So I just do think that has asserted itself as like the alternate there, but it does feel like a little like Trial of Chicago 7 to Nomadland, or one of those where it's like, oh, it's maybe 25 years ago or 20 years ago, this movie would have won Best Picture, but with this newer Academy, it's probably the alternate, though I think it is a strong alternate. I do think like the one thing Conclave has going for it, having seen like obviously like at other events and talking to people, like no one dislikes the movie, and even more so than they like even I'm just keep going back to like Nomadland and Chicago 7, but I was like a lot of people did not love Trial of Chicago 7. I think that was like, or like American Hustle, like those type of movies. Conclave is like way more I think amenable to a lot of different types of people, and everybody does like it. So if it does emerge as like the consensus best picture winner in an incredibly close race, I guess I wouldn't be surprised, but I definitely think it's like the number 2 to Honora after the BAFTAs.
Yeah, like it's a great. We always knew it would be a great preferential ballot player just because it lacks haters, but I think it also lacks art and passion. Like there's passion behind Honora, right? Like there's even passion behind The Brutalist. It's just smaller, and it probably has more haters too, and like same thing with Amelia. So I think that's probably what's going to keep Conclave from winning Best Picture, because it doesn't have like a core base of diehard stans.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's probably number 2 now. Like I think like The Brutalist just really struggling with the guilds, and it can't. Like Adrian can win SAG, but like it's not even nominated for ensemble at SAG. So.
All right. Well, it's probably a good segue to go then move on and talk about SAG Awards, because those are coming up, and I think those are going to be a big indicator of where we stand with the Oscars.
Even though voting closes today as we're recording on Tuesday.
I think we'll get a great sense of where the industry is, or at least the actors are, especially if they make like some wild picks here. I don't know. I'm not really expecting that, but I mean, like if they do, I guess in hindsight we'll be like, oh wow, okay, then we really have learned something here.
For sure. All right, so let's start with the TV nominees.
Yes.
Those are easier choices, easier predictions, we think. Let's start with TV drama. We've got the 2 actors from Shogun. We've got Jeff Bridges from Old Man, Gary Oldman from Slow Horses, Eddie Redmayne from Day of the Jackal. Is this Heroes for Shogun?
Yes.
Yes.
I have nothing to say. Nothing to say.
Nothing to say here.
I have Eddie Redmayne in second. Just
Obviously,
because.
Me too.
Yes, we all love Eddie Redmayne, but I think Hero is considering his winning streak. Congratulations, Hero.
Yes.
Moving on to female actor in a drama series. I feel like I should read everyone's names, but again, we've got Kathy Bates from Matlock, Nicole Coughlin from Bridgerton, Allison Janney from Diplomat, Kerry Russell from Diplomat, and Anna Sawai from Shogun. This is probably Anna versus Kathy Bates. Do we think Kathy can take it from Anna?
I do. I have Kathy winning.
I think so too.
I had Anna initially, but now I want to do Kathy. She's a double nominee here.
Kathy.
Yeah.
You do it. People like we've said many times, SAG is a huge group and they love a narrative. They love a veteran. And no disrespect to Anna Sawai, who's phenomenal on Shogun. Kathy Bates, I just think was like, people love her. Like,
a double nominee.
Said, she's a
double nominee for Great Lillian Hall. Not even the titular role in the Great Lillian Hall.
Industry legend and just genuinely good person.
Yes, I do think she'll win.
And then she won Critics' Choice over Anna during voting is still ongoing as we're for SAG. It ends on Friday.
Yes.
But yeah, and I've always thought, even like months ago, like SAG will be where Shogun struggles the most. Like it feels like their style of acting is not really what that body goes for, which is so much more populist, mainstream, and like the Shogun acting can be very subtle.
Mhm.
So I can see it not sweeping.
For
drama.
sure. And there's also
Yeah.
recency bias. I mean, the Kathy stuff feels very recent.
Yeah,
and
like she
fresh.
just won, and then she
Yeah.
gave a great
Just won.
speech.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the comedy series categories. For male actor, we've got Adam Brody, Ted Danson, Harrison Ford, Martin Short, and Jeremy Allen White for The Bear.
So I wanted to have Adam Brody here, Netflix home field advantage, right? With nobody wants this, but I'm going to stick with Jeremy Allen White. I just think that like they're not going to put a lot of thought into this, and like even regardless of The Bear and the response to season 3, I think people will still go with him, and I think he'll win, I guess. So I'm going to keep Jeremy Allen White.
I still have him too, for basically the same reasons. Like, I don't know. I have Harrison Ford in second.
I could see him being a dark horse, and actually when we do Ensemble, I think Shrinking could be a dark horse too, but I don't know. I think Jeremy is just, if Harrison Ford won, that'd be awesome.
It just feels very like lazy, and I don't know. Like, we know,
Right.
like, even though like fans and critics, or like I should say like industry and especially actors, they're the slowest to go off of something.
Right.
So,
and Jeremy Denver, even when the show overall was catching strays for season 3, I feel like no one is like Jeremy's not
I mean, no one
good,
is bad on the
so I'm
show.
like,
No one is
No.
bad on the show.
I think he's
no one
going
is
to go.
bad, and
Yeah.
it wasn't about Jeremy's performance at all.
No.
His performance
So,
was always solid.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I got to go with Jeremy on that one too. All right, and then on the female actor side, Kristen Bell, Quinta Bronson, Liza Colon, Aya Naberry, and Jean Smart. You kind of got to go with Jean Smart.
Always.
Yes, I think so. Yes.
You know, comedy is comedy, and Jean is a legend.
She's the best.
She's the best. All right, male actor in a TV movie or limited series, Javier Bardem, Colin Farrell, Richard Gadd, Kevin Kline, Andrew Scott. Is this the end of the Richard Gadd Baby Reindeer run?
I'm saying yes. I have Colin Farrell winning.
I have Colin too, just because he's won 2 high profile awards. Like, if you asked me this like 2 months ago, I would say Richard. But like the Penguin is a guild fave too. So
Right.
Like Baby Reindeer has been winning series awards without Richard.
Yes.
Right. And it may just be the end. Like we've heard Baby, he's won a lot. Congratulations.
This is the last stop for them. Like, what else is there? I guess Ace.
Yeah, thank you, Ace. Bringing up the rear, Ace, keeping us honest. All right, and then on the female actor front, Kathy Bates, Kate Blanchett, Jodie Foster, Lily Gladstone, Jessica Gunning, Kristen Milioti.
This is probably crazy and will be wrong, but I'm actually going to go off Baby Reindeer completely. I have Kristen Milioti winning for the Penguin.
You just love Kristen.
I do, and it's recency bias, certainly, but it's a newer show. I think people love Kristen Milioti, and she has worked with like a ton of people, and she's like a great like actor story, I feel like. And Jessica Gunning also great, and if she won, she's definitely like the clear like favorite here. But I could just see them going, especially with Colin winning, not that they need to go together. I just think Kristen Milioti might actually pull off the upset and win.
Jodie Foster too late? We've seen True Detective.
I think so.
Or too early.
Too early.
I have Jess just because she has been undefeated for this so far, and obviously it's Netflix, and Netflix is the streamer of choice of SAG-AFTRA.
Correct.
So I think that's in her quiver as well. And you know, Colin has already proven he can win without Kristen.
It's true.
Globes, so.
And Jess without Richard, right? Or at least a clear choice. So
okay, ensemble in a drama: Bridgerton, Day of the Jackal, Diplomat, Shogun, Slow Horses. All together now.
Shogun.
Thank you.
Yeah, not much to say there. I think
not much to say there.
Yeah. No.
And then ensemble in a comedy series: Abbott Elementary, Bear, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building, and Shrinking.
I have Hacks.
I have Hacks, but I can see the Bear just winning again. It kind of reminds me when we were all predicting Fleabag to win ensemble, and then they just went with Maisel again.
It could be. I just think that I actually think Shrinking isn't second ahead of The Bear, even though Apple TV is obviously a smaller footprint for SAG probably. I just think they do like that ensemble, but I'll stick with Hacks because I just think like
with Hacks too. I think the comedy narrative has taken hold.
Yeah,
and I think I'm going to go.
And it's been sweeping the guilds.
Yes,
as well.
All right, let's move on to film. So for male actor in a leading role, Adrian, Timothy, Daniel, Coleman, or Rafe. I think it's Adrian. What do you guys think?
I have Adrian.
I have Adrian also, and I actually have Rafe in second and
Same.
Timothy in third. No disrespect to our favorite Bob Dylan actor, Timothy Chalamet, but I could see Rafe Fiennes. Maybe it would be a complete shock if he actually won, but I think with this group of he's such a beloved actor, Rafe Fiennes, that I could see him winning, and I think Conclave is potentially a ensemble winner, which we'll talk about in a little while. But I just think Adrian is going to win. I don't see. We talked about this with the BAFTA picks. I was like, there's no reason really to pick against him until he starts losing things. So I'm going to keep going with him.
And like we've seen with the last two shows, or televised shows, that he can win without his movie dominating. So it's just like whether or not you like his performance, I think like most people see it as like the performance of this category. At least it's just so substantial, and he gets to do a lot in the performance. And I think Timmy is still first in the odds here, right, in SAG.
He is,
and that's because like A Complete Unknown overperformed with noms. It got 4, and but the thing is, it's failed to convert anything into wins. Like, it literally has not won a single thing. It's the only Best Picture nominee that has not won a major award so far, like anywhere. So it just feels like a filler nominee. It's just like a solid biopic that like most people just enjoy watching, but it's not their fave when it comes down to it, because it's easy to fill out your ballot when you're nominating with films you merely like. But when it comes to picking one thing for the win, you're going to pick the thing you love the most. And that's not necessarily this. And it got 8 Oscar nominations and 4 SAG nominations, but that doesn't mean it came in first in those rankings. Like, it could have gone in to all those Oscar categories in 5th, you know? So, and then, I think like until Adrian loses, it's hard to go against him. And even if he does lose this, I think he's still winning the Oscar. Like, I've always said that. Like, he doesn't.
It's hard to argue with that performance. It's still a powerful performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then we get to the tough category: female actors in leading role. We've got Pamela Anderson, Cynthia Erivo, Carla Sofia Gascon, Mikey Madison, and Demi Moore.
I truly don't know. I mean, like, I have Demi winning because SAG loves the narrative. They love a veteran and like all of that. That said, I really could see either Mikey or Cynthia winning here. I just think Cynthia actually could. I'm not sure I'm going to I don't think Wicked is going to win a lot, but I do think she could win this. I think if Mikey, like you were saying before, I think if Mikey wins here, I think she's, to me, it would be like a great sign that she's going to win at the Oscars. I think if Demi wins, she would have
both industry awards.
Yes. Right. So I think if Demi wins here, I think that's great. And we'll go into the Oscars, like, still wondering what happens. I think if Cynthia wins here, I think Fernanda Torres would win at the Oscars. Because I just think like, it just is like, it's so, there's just so much unpredictability. And I don't know. So I'll stick with Demi, but I don't know. If she lost here, I would not be surprised based on how this substance has performed. And also, just in general, like, it never felt like a movie that SAG would really respond to. They left the Margaret Qualley nomination out, right? Like, she missed. So it's like, clearly there's love for Demi, maybe not as much for the film. And it is still, while the fans are incredibly passionate, it is obviously, I would say, the most polarizing of these 5 movies, including Amelia Perez, just based on its body horror subject matter. So if she lost, I would be surprised. That said, because they love a narrative, they love a veteran, like, I think she'll win, but I'm not sure, honestly. That's my pick.
I'm gonna go with Mikey here. I'm really expect Demi to win. Like, I'm willing to take the L on this if Mikey doesn't win, but I'm gonna go with her because of what I'm doing in ensemble as well. But I feel like it's like what Chris said. Like, I think Demi obviously has the narrative, and SAG loves a narrative, and it's easy to see her winning this. And then we once again have a split between BAFTA and SAG going into the Oscars. But she is in the weaker film, and she has failed to carry Margaret Qualley to a supporting nomination. It's even Brendan Fraser was able to have Hong Chau coattail, right? And that The Whale is also a much more emotional film, right? It makes people cry. People, a lot of people love that film, and I feel like you don't get that emotional tug with the substance.
This
and
is why, this
and
is
I feel
actually...
and then SAG, they're actors, they're emotional beings, and they're very mainstream as well. And I feel like and it's such a huge body that because like there's a lack of emotionality to the substance as well, and also it's a very concept forward film. Like there's also not a lot of character development of those characters. I guess one character that they might not be able to connect with.
But isn't it so much about what they do? Just to challenge you, isn't it so much about Hollywood and what happens to them in their careers?
But it's also like, but that's why I can see her winning like that plus the narrative. But it kind of reminds me of last year too, with between like Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone. Like I had Emma winning because I thought like, oh, like actors would love this, right? It's such an actor friendly role, like creating a character from scratch, you know, like baby to adult, like that's great, like so physical. And then Lily won because obviously she also had a narrative, which we knew about. But I think like working actors also related to Lily too, because like Flower Moon was like her big breakthrough, right? And it's like they've seen her in the trenches working consistently. And I think like she's like more relatable in a way, and her character is more emotional, like a little bit like, I mean, Bella Baxter is also sympathetic, but she's also like weird and out there. And I kind of feel like maybe it's a little reverse here with Elizabeth Sparkle and Annie, because like, you know, Honora is a comedy, but like the final scene is very emotional. And you do feel for her. And then also obviously Honora is the stronger film.
Right.
So I can see it. I don't think Mikey needs to win this to win the Oscar.
No.
But I can see her winning
needs to win it to win the Oscar.
Demi definitely needs to win it. In terms of the emotionality, this is actually why I keep going to Fernanda at the Oscars, and depending on what happens here, is just because I love Honora. It's like my fave, and like I think it's great, and I think the ending is obviously very emotional, but it's not as nakedly like people are like I'm Still Here is like emotionally wrecking people.
It's a true story.
It's a true story, and it's like emotionally really affecting people, and neither Demi, like if you're looking for that emotionality, like Brendan, like I think a lot of people, including us, have probably been like, oh, and I'm sure people who think Demi will win at the Oscars are going to say this too. Like Austin Butler won for Elvis at BAFTA. He's like a Mikey Madison comp, and then Brendan Fraser won at the Oscars, and like that's the Demi Moore comp. But I'm like, people were weeping at The Whale. It like made them emotional.
They were handing out tissues, like,
and like you're not doing that with the substance. So then I'm like looking at that as we get to the Oscars, and I'm like, I do think Fernanda has the most emotional performance, and if enough people have seen it, maybe that pushes her ahead. So here, everything Joyce said, I think is true, but I just kind of, that's why I'm almost like, I do think Cynthia has a really good shot at
that's just the populist vote. That's like
populist, but also it's also the most people wept at Wicked, right? The end of Wicked, like Defying Gravity, you're leaving on like a really emotional note. I could see her actually winning here.
You walk out thinking about it,
right? And we'll talk about ensemble, and I think Joyce and I probably, based on what Joyce said, have the same movie in ensemble. I actually think that Mikey is separate from the ensemble, and like that actually having the ensemble there could be like, oh, we already like we love this movie so much, and obviously love her, and she's the part of the ensemble that's going to win potentially. But we'll go with something else. I think if Cynthia wins here, I guess I would not be surprised, and I could really see it happening. I think she's actually very well positioned to win, but I'm going to stick with Demi Moore just because, like, I'll just go down with the ship here. But anyway.
No, it's definitely the toughest category. I've had a lot of debates with people this week. It's a tough one because it's the performance versus the narrative, and who knows? But I think I'm sticking with Demi on this one. I just think I think about working actors and how they are going to relate to Demi and her long career and the narrative that she's created. But and then I think it's about Hollywood, and I think ultimately the movie's about Hollywood. But again, like as you said, Joyce, happy to take the L on this one.
Let me just do one more thing before we move on, just in terms of this too. In terms of the narrative, we said this after the nominations, and I feel like it's still true and not being really talked about because no one's taking it seriously. But Pamela Anderson has like the lower tier narrative.
It's like the same. It's the same narrative.
And the movies,
5 of these nominees,
and the movies are very similar in terms of like a little bit like about the themes of the movies, right? Obviously, the substance goes about it differently than The Last Showgirl. So I was like, if Demi loses here, I think you could point to a lot of different factors, including the movie. But you could say that Pamela Anderson has enough like as a working actor on a comeback, like all these different things siphons off a little bit of Demi
and she has a co-star nominated, unlike Demi.
Correct. So anyway,
it's like,
we'll see.
All right, we're going to move on. We're going to debate this one forever.
Yes.
Save this one for last because we can do it forever. All right, male actor in a supporting role: Jonathan Bailey, Yuri Borisov, Kieran Culkin, Edward Norton, Jeremy Strong.
Kieran. Obviously.
I mean, like, it was fast. It's hard to argue with Kieran.
He's just going to sweep. I think now it's just more of a question: is like, will he show up? Because he's in rehearsals. And then he missed BAFTA because his wife has COVID. So yeah, I mean, I think we all assume he'll be at the Oscars in 2 weeks. But yeah.
Congratulations, Karen. All right. That was a fast one. All right. Female actor in a supporting role: Monica Barbaro, Jamie Lee Curtis, Danielle Deadweiler, Ariana Grande, Zoe Saldana. I think we've got another consensus here. Zoe.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the Ari stands, the Arianators will be pushing for Ari, but I think Zoe will sweep. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Ariana won. But I think Zoe's just too strong. And like in some way,
I was just going to say, in a way, and I think the Carla stuff has not blown back on her. It's almost strengthened her.
Yeah, because it's not, she has nothing to do with it.
She has nothing to do with it.
Like we've always said.
She stands on her own, and I'm here, I've got a great campaign, I'm going to give great speeches, I'm going to be powerful about it. And she's marching forward and claiming her trophies.
Yeah, I think that's it, basically.
Yeah, and this is the best spot for Ariana to win, obviously, because they went ham for Wicked here. I mean, I would never predict it, but like if you told me that Wicked won 3 awards, like Ensemble, Cynthia, and Ari, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks.
Yes.
You know, like, but I'm not predicting that. And yeah, I think it's just between the two of them, but not even really between the two of them. No offense to Ari. I think Zoe is just way out in front.
Yeah.
All right, so this brings us to Ensemble. We've got A Complete Unknown, Anora, Conclave, Amelia Perez, Wicked.
I have Anora still here, and Conclave in second. That's what I got.
I have Wicked winning and Anora in second. So Chris and I just did the opposite because I was like, if Anora is so strong with the guilds, like it probably will win SAG, like at least one category. So like Yura's out, obviously. So it's like, do I do ensemble or actress? So I chose actress, and Chris obviously chose ensemble.
Right. Yeah. So I think actually Conclave, I have Wicked in third. I think Conclave could win because of its like incredible depth of actors who are all beloved and worked with so many people. And I just think like it's a very easy movie for people to like we talked about before. And that's probably why it's like the number 2. But I think Anora, like people, like you said this, Deborah, last week, I think maybe, but man, people love backing a front runner. And I think the enthusiasm for Anora is strong. And even though it's not super SAG, you know, maybe like the typical thing they would really like, I do think you could see the elements of it in like a Parasite and all these different things. And it is a great ensemble. And it's really, no disrespect to these other movies, I actually feel like it is the one very definite
it's
ensemble.
It's the most ensemble, yeah,
of this
because they're actually together.
Like, you know, right? It's like Wicked is great, but it's really a two-hander. Conclave is actually not as much of an ensemble as you think. And Carlos Dietz is not even a nominee based on the SAG, like archaic SAG rules of crediting, which is fine, but whatever. Like, I'm like, a lot of the people you liked in the movie, not that they care, because I'm sure they're just going to vote.
They get certificates. You'll get a certificate.
Yeah, and they're not going to not think of him if they're voting for this movie. But I'm just saying, like, Complete Unknown is obviously like a Bob movie with like great supporting performances, but not an ensemble. And Amelia Perez has never really felt like an ensemble because just the 4 of them and really just 3 actors. No disrespect to Adriana Paz. So I'm like, I do think Anora is like the definition of the ensemble. It has like the enthusiasm and underdog aspect of it that I think a lot of the actors would respond to. I mean, we'll see, but I think Anora could win here, and then just be like, obviously, then it's the real.
I mean, if it went SAG, then it has all all 4, like you know.
Then it's like, okay, we have not as much debate about Best Picture.
I think Wicked could just do it just because usually when there is like a humongous box office populist hit, they win here, even though it has no shot at Best Picture at the Oscars. You know, like Black Panther. You know, and The Help and Hidden Figures, right? It's just like, they just love this movie, and we know, or at least the SAG Nom-Com loves it, but I think SAG in general loves it. And, you know, it's obviously already beloved IP before this movie. So I think it could just win this and it has 5 nominations. I don't think it will go over 5 like Banshees did. Like Banshees, like in that year, Everything Everywhere was The Wicked, you know, like, and Banshees just had the 5 nominations, and it was up against it in like almost all the categories, and it lost all of them. But yeah, like I think it, like Wicked can take ensemble, and that it would just be like the populist win in ensemble that we get from time to time.
I hear what you're saying about it being a two-hander, but there are other.
They're not thinking about it like that way, you know. They just love the movie. Yeah.
Yes, they love the movie. They walk out, and then there's Jeff Goldblum, there's Michelle Yeoh, there's Bowen Yang. There's like a lot of other cast members that feel recognizable that they've worked with, and Anora is a lot of unknowns. As strong as the ensemble is, but I do think there's going to be a feeling of like, oh, I love that movie, and I do think it's going to be between Anora and Wicked. But I think I don't know. It's a tough call, but I think the edge.
What if Anora wins ensemble and actress?
I mean, then forget it.
Over.
Then it's over.
It's over.
It's over.
In terms of Wicked, I mean, obviously, like they love those populist movies, like we've seen, and like you're saying, but like, I mean. And they had an option last year with Barbie and Oppenheimer, right? And they went with Oppenheimer, which was a
huge.
But that was a huge working ensemble.
Yeah.
I know, but so was Barbie, and like I just keep going back to that. Also, they were
the same level of film. Okay, it's not the same as Anora versus Wicked.
Well, I'm just musicals are also like this would be the first musical to win this. Then what's in Chicago, right? That one ensemble, I guess. I don't know. I'm just like we know musicals are kind of. Still, some people don't like a musical. So,
but I think actors would like, especially a lot working actors, like they've done musicals themselves. Like they love Wicked.
I know they love Wicked,
and they've all worked with everybody in a way that they haven't worked with the cast of Anora.
That's true. So I guess we'll see. Then that would be great if Wicked wins.
Everyone gets something.
If Wicked wins and everyone gets something, then also I think that buttresses Anora's Best Picture bona fides even further because Conclave I think would make it a real tight race if Conclave went in with BAFTA and the SAG ensemble win against Anora. You could make a case that it's like very competitive, but if another movie besides Anora or Conclave wins, I think that's also good for Anora, not as counterintuitive as maybe that sounds.
Anora can come out with 0 SAGs and it could still be the Best Picture front. Like it would still be the Best Picture front runner.
Right.
It's still fine.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
It's fine.
This would be great. I love the SAG Awards. I can't wait to watch them on Sunday.
On Netflix.
On Netflix. I love a streamer to do this. I can't wait to stream it. So we'll talk about them after the SAG Awards and be back next week with our final Oscar winner predictions in all the categories. I can't wait. That'll be so much fun. But I guess we'll talk to you all then. Thanks. Bye. Thanks for listening to Awards Magnet. The show is produced by Aaron Greenwald. Our logo is designed by Chelsea Sikora. To be part of the show, email us at slugfests@goldderby.com and follow us on social media @goldderby.